Let's make sure you can hear me. Alright, yeah. Alright. Alright, so first and foremost, I'm gonna start off by saying Barakathon, Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah. And I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders of Great Millstone. And shout out to the hopeful elect, starting with the 100 without Shalom. Alright, so not gonna necessarily say this ain't gonna be long, but Lord willing, coming to sit down today. Um, excuse me. And the title of the lesson is called Jake Wants the Most High to Fit Around Their Lifestyle, right? And then, in parentheses, I didn't put it on the live title, but in parentheses, right here, we got their wise to evil, right? And as I was watching Elder Pastor Rumline lesson, and he was going into Exodus 32, you read verse 5 and 6 about how they rose up to play and whatnot. Their plays going into sexual activities and whatnot, and Aaron creating that golden calf that when Moses went up into the chariot to receive the laws and commandments from Yahweh Shah, and the people became impatient, right? And he was reading ChatGPT breakdown, and he had quoted something which was the title of his lesson that he hit me in the spirit, right? Which reads, Jake wants the Most High to fit around their lifestyle, their wise to evil, right? And that's one of the main things we see today, man. That's one of the main things we see today, right? And every time when I think about it, I think of the Charleston White videos. And I was watching Elder Matazakbot lesson a while ago, well, not a while ago, some months back, and he had showed a lesson Charleston White. Charleston White was like, I can't serve that Hebrew God. He too strict. And we see that's how Jake want to live. See, Jake don't want to live under the restrictions or how you want to put it that, with the laws and commandments that Yahweh said for us to live, because, Babylon has created this free will spirit that you can do whatever you want to do. You can do however you want to do it, and you will be accepted, right? And that's not the case, right? That's that plantation Christianity. That's all these other things that that was created about Esau Edom to keep the people confounded in their way, right? And the first preacher that come to mind is bear with me, is Hosea chapter 4. I got the Bible right here. My phone's gonna allow for my iPad. And excuse me, I got my iPad turned sideways, so excuse me if it's not the right side up on your device. I'm gonna get another case to where I can sit it facing up forward. But whether we'll do what it do, right? But this is Hosea 4 in verse 6, right? It says, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee. And that's what you gotta understand, right? You have the elders, you have the apostles, right? You have the system in the truth each and every day on the highways and byways, doing lessons, doing these things, and contending in that righteous faith to be how by Shah describe and push, right? The 100% knowledge, 100% truth out there. But Jake rejected. And we see that consistently. We see that abundantly. We see that a lot every day. Jake just reject the truth. Jake just go against his truth, right? So this is it says that thou shalt be no priest to me, seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy power. I will also forget thy children. As they were increased, so they sinned against me. Therefore, I'll turn their glory into shame, right? And we're seeing that, right? Because really, even understanding that too, right? Matter of fact, bro, I'm gonna go to Proverbs, right? Because it made me think of something, right? Because as I mentioned earlier, how Esau Edom is in rulership. Esau Edom runs this earth, right? So within Esau Edom running this earth, right? I'm gonna read you two quick pieces real fast. Book of SIGH&CRY 10 and verse 2, right? It says, as a judge of the people is himself, so are his officers, right? So the rule basically saying the ruler, however rulers is, the people under him are the same way, right? It says, what manner of man the ruler of the city is, such are all they that dwell therein, right? So we know in Job 9:24, the earth is in the hands of the wicked, right? We know that the wicked run this earth. The wicked is set up is set up and controls this place by Yahweh Shah. And with that, and with them being in rulership, you see how all the wickedness and all the things that's going on and it's being increased is going out into the earth, right? A whole bunch of wickedness. Jake is confused and confounded in all type of ways, mainly in these pagan religions, right? And all these abominations that go against Yahweh Shah, that go against the laws and commandments, right? So I want to go to let's see, bear with me, Proverbs. Bear with me. Right here, Proverbs 29:16. It says, when the wicked are multiplied, transgression increases. For the transgress, sin is transgression against the law, going against the law, right? So sin increases, right? But the righteous shall see their fall. And we're seeing the fall of Esau Edom. And not only we seeing the fall of Esau Edom, we seeing Esau Edom go down, and we seeing how this is backfiring on the nations. We seeing how it's backfiring on Jake. Now Jake is going through hell. Now Jake is going through it. You got Trump, who you can see, even had the spirit receiving and see it, could be and kind of is the reincarnation of Nero, causing all this disruption, coming hard on the people, right? And you see it. You see how he coming hard on Jake, and he making it tough for Jake. See, now Jake lost. Now Jake confused. But it's all, if you see, it's all set up, lead to the MOTB. But you know, the righteous are seeing the fall. The righteous are seeing this kingdom decay. We seeing this kingdom fall right in front of our face. But the ones who caught up in it and so deep in it, they don't see it because they can't look from the outside in. Why? Because they caught up in the world. You got to depart from this world to really see the wickedness and things from it. That's that light. That's that understanding. That's why Isaiah 6:2 said that gross darkness, man. That darkness is the confusion, the non-understanding. Right? See, we're in the light of Yahweh outside, so we're able to see, we're able to walk on that narrow passage, we're able to see our steps ahead, which are led by Yahweh outside. Right? Right? So I got some notes right here I want to read, right? Just real fast. Right? It says we witnessing the fall apart of this building before it actually destroyed. Right? We're seeing them fall, waiting on Yahweh outside to come destroy it, right? And that's why you see Esau Edom being revealed these last days as well, right? But getting back to Jake, talking about the title lesson, Jake wants how to fit around their lifestyle because when you first come into the truth, Jake is holly jolly, right? Oh, we chosen people. Oh, we using that. We gonna have our own, right? But then, that's why the Most High told Ezekiel what? Tell people eat the whole roll because just like John, right? In fact, just like John was saying, right? It was mouth sweet as honey because you hear the good things, spiritual powers. You hear all these things, right? But then once you get a, what's that precept? Bear with me. And the book Ecclesiastes 1:18, right? It's the book Ecclesiastes 1 and verse 18. And it reads, it says, for much wisdom is much grief. He that increases knowledge increases sorrow. Right? And when I was thinking about this lesson, I meditated this lesson, it made me think about the precept or the parable going into the seeds that fell by the wayside, right? And one of them when it fell, right, it wasn't rooted in all the way, right? And so once and when you see it spiritually, you know, you see the ones who come and go within this truth, they're not rooted in all the way. So as soon as some adversity hit, as soon as afflictions hit, as soon as things get tough, right? That's what they do, right? They go away. Because as title lesson, right? Jake wanted the most high to fit their lifestyle, right? Matter of fact, let's go to that. Is that Matthew chapter 13? I'm not mistaken. Yeah, right. That's chapter 13. Matthew 13 verse 5, right? It really says, some fell upon stony places where they had not much earth, and forthwith they sprung up because they had no deepness of earth, right? And when the sun was up, they were scorched. It was scorched, and because they had no root, they withered away, right? So if we're gonna jump down, right? to verse 21, right? It says, yeah, Slaki. Matter of fact, I just started verse 18, right? It says, here, therefore, the parable of the sower, right? He said, when anyone hears the word of the kingdom and understand it not, they come with the wicked one and catches away that which was sown in his heart. These which is sown in his heart. This is he that received by the Slaki. This is which receives seed by the wayside, right? And if you understand that, those are the ones who they evil deceive. You know, they easily deceive, as I meant to say, right? You don't come trick them up. Christianity, Muslim, all these things. It's easy for Esau to get them, trick them. It's easy for Esau to hit their pressure point, right? It says, but he that receives the seed into stony places, the same as he that heareth the word and animal joy and receiveth it, right? So he have joy to receive, he have joy to hear. He happy to, oh, you're the kingdom, the spiritual power. He happy to hear all these things, right? But he have no patience, right? He have no patience. And that's what Apostle Romla, when he was reading it, it was saying, right? Jay was impatient, right? As Moses are getting the laws and commandments, they down there, hey, so excuse me. Where is the guy who saves for Egypt? Where he at? They running the errand, and they tell him, hey, we need this, we need that, So Aaron tell him to give me the excuse me, need some water in here, but he telling, hey, give me the earrings, the gold from your son's daughters or whatnot, and he make golden calves, right? Because Jake was what? Impatient. Jake ain't had no faith, right? We're gonna hold Matthew 13. We're gonna go to James chapter 1 real fast, right? Because you have to understand within this ministry, this is a patient process. You can't rush that, man. You gotta have the faith to be able to endure. You can't rush the Most High. The Most High has everything set and ordained. He's not the author of confusion. Everything is set in stone what it's gonna be. Just as well those ones who come to the truth and fall out. The Most High already able to do that, right? But you got to understand that's why he said, then they shall be known who are my chosen, because they're going to be tried. It's going to be a trial, man. It's going to be a tough trial. That's why he says a narrow passage, right? So if you can't remain focused and stay sincere and faithful throughout this whole thing, then this ministry is not for you, man. This ain't no thing where you can pick and choose the way you want to ride or die for it. When you come to the truth, you got to be wholeheartedly in it. You got to be in it through the spirit. You can't be in it within the flesh. The flesh is corruptible, right? The flesh is corrupt. The flesh wants things of the world, things of the flesh, right? The pleasurable things to itself. The spirit wants the will of the Habasha outside. That's the way you have to choose. See, Jake wanted the place for himself because Jake wanted the Most High what? To fit their lifestyle. Once again, time's lesson, right? So this is James chapter 1. It's James chapter 1 and verse 3. It's like it says, knowing this, that the trying of your faith work of patience, man. Right? Remember the patience of Job. When things get tough, things get hard, you got to keep faith in Yahweh Shot. Understand that He's going to deliver us. He's going to bring us through it. Understand that the things that we're going through, He set them up for us to go through them. To see who gonna steadfast, to see who gonna stand, to see who gonna turn their face from the devil, right? To see who gonna stay focused within His truth, within His ministry, right? Because you have Jake who chooses the way of their own self, right? And we're going to get to that, Jeremiah 17:4, right? They can't stick us. That's why you got to understand as well. This gift is a faith. Slide. I always say that backwards, but this faith is a gift, man. To have this faith is a gift because you see how lost and confused Jake is. You see how confounded Jake is within himself. He think the most I got to fit his lifestyle, right? So verse 4 says, but let patience have a perfect work, that you may be perfect and entire wanting nothing. So when you go back to what Elder Pastor Romla was reading, right, you see Jake was impatient. Jake didn't keep faith. Jake ran the air and said, hey, build these go to class for build these he taking too long, basically. Moses take too long. Where he at? We need to put our time into something. Because why? Jake always looking for rest. You got to think, they was just in the wilderness getting saved from Egypt under bondage. But we're in bondage now, right? We in bondage now. We in slavery now. Bondage is slavery for the ones who don't know. That's why Egypt is referred to the house of bondage. That's why Deuteronomy 28:68 said, I will bring it to Egypt again. Right? What is that? Exodus 20:2, right? Egypt was known as the house of bondage. right? And when you understand that, you got to understand that we're in that bondage still today. We're in bondage still today. Esau, Edom was the modern day Egyptians, man, right? And so with us being in this captivity, now what? Jake don't have no patience because Jake always want to rest. Jake always want things to be smooth. Jake want to feel comfortable, right? What you got to understand, we're not meant to be comfortable here, right? And that's why, once again, I'm back to what I was saying at the beginning of the lesson, with Charleston White. Well, I can't worship that Hebrew God. He too strict because the ways of this world are not the ways of Yahweh Shem Shah. The way these people get money, the way they do all these things, they fall in love with the money, the cars, the clothes, that's not of Yahweh Shem Shah. We focus on things, but we focus on the kingdom. We focus on the righteous things, the sincere things, right? So this is let's finish Matthew right before I go to Mike. Let's finish Matthews real fast, so I can. I'm just flowing through spirit. I got some precepts wrote down, but I'm just flowing through the spirit as we go, right, Lord willing, right. Um, at verse 20 again, right, he said, "But he that receives the seed into stony places, the same as he that heareth the word and of the joy receive it." Right. It says, "Yet he hath no root in himself, but dureth for a while." Right. For when tribulation or persecution arises because of the word, and by he is offended, right? So as soon as things get hard, guess what? He get offended. He run away, right? He not built for it, right? He not built for this truth. He fold. And them not the ones that help Bashin outside dealing with, right? Let's read this in the NLT. Was that Matthew's 20 and 21? Read it in NLT real fast, right? And that's why Jake want the most high to fit around them, man. Right? Because Jake don't want it tough. Jake don't want it hard. Jake don't want things to go bad for them. Jake want things to be smooth for them, man. Jake want everything to fall in their place going there. Jake want everything to line up to the plan they have for themselves. And what is that? That's that flesh, man. Right? This is Matthew 13, 20, and 21, right? It says, "The seed on the rocky soil represent those who hear the message and immediately receive it with joy. But since they don't have deep roots, they don't last long. They fall away as soon as they have problems or are persecuted for believing Yahweh's word." And that's why, even read this in the NLT, you see, man, like, and it's truth. Yahweh Shah said, right? They're gonna be persecuted for my name's sake. They don't listen to me, they won't listen to you. Right? Maybe paraphrasing. Right? So how can you go to these churches and all these things where you see all these people confounded and thinking this is the right thing? You don't see people persecuting the preachers. You don't see people persecuting them. You don't see them talking bad about them. Most I say, when you see, I don't think about preachers, they speak well of them. The scriptures say, woe to when men speak well of you, such as they did the false prophets. Those are false prophets, man. They create this false narrative, this false sense of hope, this false sense of peace, right? Gotta understand, in this ministry, we're going to be persecuted. We're going to be hated. They persecuted Yahweh Shai. They persecuted Paul. They persecuted all the prophets, the elder, right? What did what did Paul quote in Romans 11, right? What Elijah, what he was saying, right? I last long they seek my life because they killed all the prophets before. But Paul was using that to show example of what? They have the elect, those sincere men who are going to strive and push, right? Who's going to purge out their way, who's going to purge out their own will and do the will of Yahweh Shem Shah, right? But you have these ones, right? These 2/3 which are going to be destroyed, who try to make the Most High fit around their lifestyle, try to make the Most High fit around the way they want to live, right? Uh, Precept real fast. Proverbs 16:9. A man's heart divided his way, but the Lord directed his steps, right? And I'm gonna show you where I read that, right? So, what is that? I'm gonna say Jeremiah. Bear with me. Heart is yeah, Jeremiah 17:9. Right? So this is Jeremiah 17 in verse 9, right? It says, "The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it?" Why? Because Jake wanted to feel the lust of his flesh. right? But when the spirit of Yahweh Shah leads you, he directs your steps. See, you gotta understand the Most High been said, right? When a man drawn away of his own lust, right? And this how you know these pastors, these things and stuff, they don't get into the scripts. They don't get into the breakdown how the elders, the GMS with 100% true star, elder apostle on down, how they break down the scriptures. Because when you understand your own lust, it'll be the lust of the flesh, right? So when you have someone drawn with their own lust, meaning money, cars, clothes, drugs, any of that, right? They slip up and smoke, they slip up and do these things. They slip up and do these things, right? And they continually follow in their own lust. Every time they follow away of what you want them to do, right? But that's why the Most High said what Romans 1, right? I give them up to let their rope bait. Because they come to a point to where they get so caught up in their own way, the Most High just give them up to what they want to do. And they want the Most High to fit that lifestyle for them, right? But you have the elect men, which Yahweh Shai came and showed. That's why Yahweh Shai is the author and finisher of our faith. You have those elect men who came, right? Like you have those elect men who follow the path of Yahweh Shai said, right? To do what? John 5, verse 30, right? To give up their own will and do the will of Yahweh, man. Do the will of the Heavenly Father, right? But you have, once again, you have Jake who want the Most High to fit their lifestyle. You have Jake who want the Most High to fit to where, what they think you need. Oh, I need a big car, fancy house, fancy clothes. But when you really understand, when you really understand Yahweh Shai, none of that, I put, what is the precept? I think it's Matthew 5. Matthew chapter 5. The Most High reign on the just and the unjust. Matthew chapter 5, verse 45. Right? Most High reign on the just and the unjust. You gotta understand, just because that person have all these fancy car things, the Most High put him in that position to have that. The Most High just gave him up to his own lust. Because why? Right? You gotta understand, it's considering the latter end. See, Jake won't now. Jake is impatient. Right? This is what Elder Apostle Ron was talking about in the lesson. Jake is impatient. See, Jake want that rest. Jake want that comfort. Jake want all that now because Jake don't have the patience. We read James chapter 1. Patience, work of faith. Right? He don't have the patience. He don't have the patience to keep that faith in Yahweh Shai to understand we don't need those things. We don't need that. Right? And even since, matter of fact, I got a few precepts I wanted to bring out. I got far from the point, and one of them, Lord willing, after I read this, we'll go back to it. Right? But this is Ecclesiastes 8. and excuse me. 8 and verse 11. Right? It says, because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily, therefore the heart of the sons of men is fully set in them to do evil. So just because the Most High don't bring that punishment, he don't bring that judgment on them right now. Oh, I think God, because he put me in this position for this, things that such. Yeah, because he knew that was your own lust. He knew you would choose that over. You would choose that. I would put you would choose that over this truth. These people not ready to give up these lifestyles of this world. I remember I was watching the lesson of Elder Apostle Gabar a while ago. Not like Elder Apostle Tahar. He was talking about, man, LeBron James ain't worrying about this truth. LeBron James ain't ready to leave this earth. Well, the scriptures say, hey, we hasten for this earth to pass away. We ready for the place to be destroyed, right? Because we see the wickedness in it. But LeBron James ain't ready to give none of that up. He got billions of billions out. Everybody in the world, he not ready to give that up. He loved that. So the Most High gives them up. There's those same spirit, those hypocritical people, right? Who try to look good on the outside, but inside full of what does the script say? Like a sepulcher. Sepulcher is like a casket full of dead bones, man. Wicked. Because you're not in the truth. You're in the congregation of the dead. You're dead. You're a zombie, man. Right? That's why Revelations, chapter 11, right? They dead bodies lying in the street. Those dead bodies are those Israelites who not in the spirit, how about Shah, who don't understand the national, don't understand this truth, right? It said, though a sinner do evil 100 times, and his days be prolonged. Yet surely I know that it shall be well with them that fear Yahweh, which fear before him. But it shall not be well with the wicked, neither shall he prolong his days, which are as a shadow, because he fears not before Yahweh. And you gotta understand, once again, see, Jake don't understand. See, just because things don't happen right now, right? Jake don't consider that his latter end. Jake feel good in the moment. Jake feel good for what's going on right now. Jake got the fancy car, the fancy LeBron, the rappers, all these people. They live in lavish now. They have it now, right? But What was I finna go to? Oh, I just kind of left my mind. Oh, it's like uh, one of my favorite preachers right here, Micah 2, in verse 10. It says, "Arise ye and depart. This is not your rest, because it is polluted. It shall destroy you even with the sword of destruction." So this place is polluted, right? This is not your rest. All the things you chase, all the things are gonna lead you to a sword of destruction, man. And that's security, right? And that's security, right? Because you got people don't understand. This is a mercy period for Yahweh Shai. Where we in now is a mercy period. It's a chance for us to get right, to get closer to Yahweh Shai. It's a chance for us to correct ourselves, right? Scripture say who the Lord Yahweh Shai loved, he chastened. When he corrected, who the Lord loved, he corrected. Right now he correcting us, right? Because now he's brought the knowledge back into us, the 100% truth back into us. So now we know the true history, our true nationality, where we come from. And we're able to correct ourselves because the thing we did back then caused us to be led into captivity. So now we come back to the remembrance, come back to the knowledge to be able to correct ourselves, right? We get it's like you take a test and the teacher give you the test to give you to make corrections, right? So the ones you got wrong, you're able to go fix. So now the Most High giving us that chance to correct our wrongs. This is a mercy period, but you have Jake taking it for granted because it's a lot of quote unquote free will around here in America, right? In Babylon, and I just seen El Pastor Roland. I ain't necessarily watched it yet, but I seen the title of the lesson. Right, it was going into it says Babylon created that YN spirit, which it did, because that's the objective. That's the objective that Esau Edom put out here, the persona that he put on Jake. And Jake gotta live up to the height of what the world think about him, right? He don't want to live up to the height of Yahweh Shai. He don't want to follow the truth of Yahweh Shai. He can live up to the height that the world said about him, what he, she, what they say, right? What is that? This John chapter 12. This John chapter 12 and verse 43, right? It says, right? John 12:43 says, "For they love the praise of men more than the praise of Yahweh," right? So, matter of fact, I'm gonna start at verse 42, right? It says, "Nevertheless, among the chief rulers also many believed on him, but because of the Pharisees, they did not confess him." Right? Because you had these wicked scribes and Pharisees trying to make Yahweh look like he was lying, trying to make they trying to look good in front of the people, right? Telling people they can be perfect, follow God's command, doing all these wicked things you see today, right? These camps like IUIC, all these other camps, these scoffers and mockers, right? You know, it says, "Let they should be put out of the synagogue," right? So you gotta understand, these people, they don't want to listen to Yahweh Shah because they don't want the chief scribes and Pharisees and whatnot, these quote unquote high rulers, these quote unquote higher people, to look at them some type of way, look at them funny, to look at them weird, right? So that's why he says, right? It says, "For they love the praise of men more than Yahweh Shah." Right? So they care about more what men think about them than what Yahweh Shah would think about them. Right? That's why Yahweh Shah cried and said, "He that believeth on me, believe not on me, but on him that sent me." Right? So in order for you to believe on Yahweh Shah, right? You gotta believe in Yahweh, but people ain't do that. They despise Yahweh Shah. They came against him. They hate him. Told him he was lying. They persecuted him, right? We see that because why? Jake care what men think about him. Jake don't want to hear this truth. They don't want to hear the Esau, going into captivity. They're going into slavery. They don't want to preach that. They don't want to say they don't want to give up their lifestyle. They don't want to give up their way, right? He was just going again, that's the title of the lesson, right? Jake wants how to fit around their lifestyle, how they live, what they want to do, right? So even going back to that, so it's some more precepts real fast. Jeremiah 17:4. Right? Slacking not Jeremiah 17:4. I think it's Jeremiah 4:22. Yeah, Jeremiah 4:22 slacking, right? It says, For my people is foolish. They have not known me. They are Sodom's children. They have none understanding. They are wise to do evil, but to do good they have no knowledge. Right? And that's the truth. Right? They have no knowledge to do good. Because why? As we read earlier, right? They reject Yahweh Shah. They reject his truth. They reject his words. Like I thought it was a lot. But they reject his truth. They reject his word. They reject his understanding. Right? They have no knowledge for this, right? They want the ways of screen a little dark. They want the ways of of what the world has to offer, right? They want the most high. They want the most high to fit the pleasure of them, for lack of a better word. They want the most. They want the things of that's easy. They want the easy route. Just for lack of a better word. Why do you think they choose Christianity? Why do you think they choose money? Why do you think they choose these things? Because that allows them to live in their wicked ways and be comfortable within it, to be accepted in it, right? It goes back again to their impatience, man. They're very impatient, right? They want once again, they want everything to be smooth for them again. That's why I titled the lesson, right? Jake want the smooth thing. Right, matter of fact, if I go to John, what is it? Isaiah 30. Right here, Isaiah 30, and I started verse 8. It says, now go right before them in the table, right? And noted in the book, right? It may be for the time It may be for the time to come forever and ever, right? This is a rebellious people, lying children, children that will not hear the law of the Lord Yahweh, right? Talking about Israel, right? It says, which say to the seers, right? Seers are the prophets, the similar to the truth, right? Those watchmen, see not. And to the prophets, prophesy not unto us right things, speak unto us smooth things, prophesy deceits, right? Get you out of the way, turn aside out of the path, cause the Holy One of Israel to cease before us. Wherefore this saith the Holy One of Israel, because ye despise this word and trust in oppression and pervertedness, and stay thereon. Therefore this iniquity shall be to you as a breach ready to fall, swelling out in the high wall, whose breaking cometh suddenly at an instant, and he shall break it as the breaking of the potter's vessel that is broken in pieces. He shall not spare, as the destruction that's coming. So there shall not be found in the bursting of it a shred to take fire from the earth, from the hearth, or to take water without out of the pit. This says the Lord Yahweh, the Holy One of Israel, and returning and rest ye shall be saved, and quietness and comfort shall be your strength, and ye would not. Right? Because why? They want to hear the smooth thing, want to hear the easy thing, they just want to choose the easy route. Which is not, this is not going to be the easy route. We're not in our homeland, we're in captivity. And this is the worst captivity I've ever been in. So I don't know why Jake wanted smooth, Jake wanted easy. It's not going to be easy. Jake see the lifestyle of Esau Edom, right? And even with that, right? That's why Jake can't abide in his truth. Because Jake want the Most High to fit their lifestyle. Oh, you can't smoke. Oh, you gotta depart from this. You can't do this and that. Oh man, I don't know if I can stop doing that. Oh man, I don't know if I can quit that. Right? They're not rooted in all the way, man. Right? This is Isaiah 30 right here in NLT. I'll get straight to the point. I'm gonna read verse 9 and 10. It says, I'm gonna start at 9. It says that these people are stubborn rebels who refuse to pay attention, right? Who refuse to pay attention to the Lord's instruction. They tell the seers, stop seeing visions. They tell the prophets, don't tell us what is right. Tell us nice things. Tell us lies, man. Right? It says, forget all this gloom. Get off your narrow path. Stop telling us about your Holy One of Israel, man. Right? They don't want to hear. They don't want to hear about the narrow passage. That's the spirit. They don't want to hear about. That narrow passage is small. You got it's one step from the other. You can't slip up on this passage. You can't bullshit on this passage. You got things on the right, things on the left. You take a side step, you falling off. Right? It says, this is the reply of the Holy One of Israel, Yahweh SIGH&CRY, because you despise what I tell you and trust instead in oppression and lies, man. Right? They trust in Esau Edom. They trust in Christianity. They trust in all this bullshit. They trust in money. They trust in all these corruptible things, right? The scriptures say you're redeemed by non-corruptible things, right? We were redeemed by Yahweh Shem Yahshua, but guess what? They still don't have faith. They still don't have faith to believe in him, right? It says calamity will come upon you suddenly, like a bulging wall to that destruction, man. What's gonna come upon these 2/3 in America, right? That burst and falls. And in an instant it will collapse and come crashing down. You will be smashed like a piece of pottery shattered so completely that there won't be a piece big enough to carry coals from a fireplace or a little water from the well. This is what the sovereign Lord Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushua, the Holy One of Israel, says. Only in returning to me and resting in me will you be saved. Not in what you want to do, not your lifestyle, not your will. The scriptures say, resting in me, right? And you will be saved. And quietness and confidence is your strength. But you will have none of it, right? Because Jake, what? Matter of fact, that's a spirit. That leaves some next spirit, right? With John, right? Soon as Jake loved us. Jake wanted to hear the about the kingdom, and Jake wanted to hear all these things. Jake didn't want to hear the destruction. Jake didn't want to hear the discipline. Jake didn't want to desire that sense of milk into becoming a spiritual man. Jake still want to go party. Jake still want to go out and have fun. Jake don't want to accept that we're in captivity. That this world not set for us. That we ain't supposed to be rich. We ain't supposed to have everything, right? Not here, right? That's why he said your rest is in me. Because when you rest in Yahweh Shah, you have that faith to understand. Due time, we're going to have everything, right? So this is right here is Revelation chapter 10, right? And I might read this in the NLT as well, right? Revelation chapter 10, starting at verse 9, right? And it reads, it says, and I went unto the angel and said unto him, give me the little book. And he said unto me, take it and eat it up. And it shall make thy belly bitter, but it shall be in thy mouth sweet as honey. That meaning what, right? When Apostle John had his revelation, he was up in age, right? You know, he had to be in at least his 90, right? Eat it up is these scriptures, right? His word like into a meal, right? He telling them that eat it up means learn. But he telling Ezekiel eat the whole roll, right? When Yahweh said was that verse 3:20, I will come sup with him, right? This knowledge, this understanding, this truth, you eat it up, you learn it. Even going back to the garden, right? Like she said, you know, she ate apple. She didn't eat no apple. She ate, mean what? She learned the ways of good and evil, right? Which at that time we was known as the sons of power. We didn't know no evil. We just learned the ways of good and evil. And the Most High said it that way, so why? So that now that, you know, when that serpent was supposed to melt the man, when deceived Eve, like deceived Adam. Now the Most High can see who's gonna stay focused and never pass it. Now that we know now that we know that good and evil, right? Who gonna choose the good? Who gonna follow the right path of Yahweh Shem Yahushua? Right? Who gonna stay focused? Right? But verse 10 says, and I took the little book out of the angel's hand and ate it up. Right? Learn knowledge, learn understanding. Right? And as it was in my mouth, sweet as honey, the kingdom, the spiritual power, all the nice and glorious things, right? And it was soon, and and as soon as I had eaten it, my belly was bitter. What is that? Cutting off family, cutting off. The truth is, man, I got right here in my notes, right? Belly meaning the mind, right? Belly meaning the mind, right? Because you gotta bear witness within this truth. Right? You eat is not when you eat is not when you eat is not understanding. Meaning learn is not understanding, right? The spirit, how about outside allows you to retain it. This right here has nothing to do with it. This flesh has nothing to do with it, man. It's all the spirit, how about outside. The belly's going into the mind. You have the heart. Sometimes when the scripture mentions the heart is going into the mind as well, right? Because what Paul said, I bear witness to my conscience, right? The crocodiles, the spirit holy, the Holy Spirit, right? It says belly meaning the mind. Remember, it says the man that learns much, as we read book of Ecclesiastes 1:18, you know, and when you once you learn, much increases sorrow, right? When you increase wisdom, you increase sorrow because you start understanding that mama ain't gonna make it, brother ain't gonna. You gotta cut mom, you gotta cut brother, you gotta cut family off, you gotta cut all the things that you knew. That's why you come to the as a baby, you had to be reborn, you had to be retaught again. Because everything you knew is going out the window. Everything you knew is gone. It was all a lie. So now you know the truth. Now you gotta get rid of those ways, right? It says, so when he read the book and studied the scriptures, you understand You feel sorrow because it's a deep change. You gotta leave family alone, friends alone, stop your whole way of life so you can live in righteousness, man. Because everything we was taught was a lie, right? Everything you don't put in your face with it was all a lie. Once again, going back to desiring that sincere milk, right? So I'm reading some of the NLT, and I got a few more precepts I want to hit. I'm gonna read them in the NLT as well. 2 Timothy 2. I'm reading some NLT real fast. Revelation 10, verse 9 and 10 real fast. It says, "So I went to the angel and told him to give me the small scroll, because back in the day, the Bible written on ancient scrolls, right? So you gotta understand, it's right here talking about the Bible. It's when in Ezekiel chapter 3, right? Ezekiel chapter 3, he says, "Moreover, he said unto me, Son of man, I hear some beeping out there. He said, Moreover, he said unto me, Son of man, eat thou that findest. Eat this roll and go speak to the house of Israel." Right? So we understand that the roll being described here is the scriptures, because the Bible, before it was made into a book form, we have it now, used to be written on ancient scrolls, right? So let's go to the Blue Letter Bible. Let's see what was in Revelation. It's like it. Bear with me. Then do a word search. Let's see. I'm gonna go to I was reading it's like I'm gonna go to Ezekiel. It's like I'm gonna do a word search. I want to show you what this scroll is talking about. Right? You read verse 1. I read it again very fast. Moreover, he said unto me, Son of man, eat that thou findest, eat this roll, and go speak to the house of Israel. Right? As it said here in NLT, right? Give me the small scroll. Right? I want to show you that scroll was referring to a Bible. Right? So this is how you know he's talking about that eating means learning the scriptures, right? You're not gonna eat the Bible. I mean, you learn it, right? You gotta understand the parables, dark sayings that Yahweh shall speaking, right? So this is roll, right? The word is
Strong's H 4039. Megillah.
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 Megillah. Megillah, right? Megillah, right? And it says, right, as you see, roll, book, writing, right? So when you read verse 10, read verse chapter 10, verse 9 again, it says, "So I went to the angel and told him to give me the small scroll," right? I mean the book, right? I mean this Bible. It says, "Yes, take it and eat it," meaning learn it, right? And he said it will be sweet as honey in your mouth, but it will turn sour in your stomach. Because that's the bitterness. That's the hardship you got facing the truth. You gotta be willing to accept all that when it comes to the truth, right? It says, "So I took the small scroll from the hand of the angel and I ate it. It was sweet in my mouth, but when I swallowed it, it turned sour in my stomach. Then I was told, you must prophesy again about many people, nations, languages, tongues, and kings," right? I understand the point right in verse 10. Right when he swallowed it, it turned sour in my stomach. Right? Because that's that bitterness. He started understanding. Right? When you increase wisdom, you increase sorrow. Understanding the change, right? Understanding you putting out the way of this world. He was understanding, right? Cutting off family, right? And that's what you gotta do when you come to the truth, man. Right? You gotta separate yourself. What fellowship have righteousness with unrighteousness, man? Right? So let's go ahead and 2 Timothy 1. I think it was 1 Timothy 1. No, it's like 2 Timothy 2. It's like I'm all 2 Timothy 2 and trying to see where I want to start. Right, we will just get straight to the point. Right, verse 21. It says, "If a man therefore purge himself from these, right, he shall be a vessel unto honor, sanctified, and meet for the master's use, and prepared unto every good work." Not trying to get the most out of fit his lifestyle. You gotta make yourself fit for the master's use, man. Right? This is the most high is the author of this movie, right? Lord Willie, how about y'all shout that we're blessed to be that hopefully elect to be on the good side of the movie, man. We're on the good side of the movie. We the good guys in the movie. We ain't the villains, right? And you know, and it's like as we grow more and more into the movies and the scenes of the movie, most High giving us more and more scripts. We getting more and more roles within this movie, man. Right? And we've been able to prepare ourselves to get ourselves ready, right? That you know the script is just knowledge and understanding, right? Within the Bible, we get knowledge and understanding from this Bible to be able to prepare ourselves to be prepared for the day of the Lord. Be prepared the day Yahweh shall come bring His place. So we ain't out here trying to do what we want to do. We ain't out here trying to make the most high fit our lifestyle. We making ourselves fit for the master's use, right? So this is 2 Timothy 2, 2:1 in the NLT, right? It says, "If you keep yourself pure, right, you will be special utensils for honorable use. Your life will be clean, and you will be ready for the master to use you for every good work." Right? Read it again. It's like I heard somebody walking out there. Sorry for the pause. But if you keep yourself pure, you will be special utensils for honorable use. Your life will be clean, and you will be ready for the master's use. It's like you'll be ready for the master to use you for every good work, man. Right? And like going back to the title lesson, right? Jake want the most high to fit around their lifestyle, right? That's not how it works. You gotta make yourself fit for the masses use. Cause those 2/3, those ones who choose their own lust, who choose their own way, guess what? They're gonna be destroyed right in their own way. They're gonna be destroyed right in their own lust. Esau, Edom, all these things that they build and protect themselves, things. So the most high gonna use those same things to destroy them, man. So you can't come against Yahweh Shem Shah. You can't go against Yahweh Shem Shah, man. And you can't try to direct him, right? You can't try to make him. Uh, he's the potter, man. We're the clay, man, right? And you have vessels unto honor, you have vessels unto dishonor, right? So you can't try to make yourself. You can't try to make the Most High fit around your lifestyle, for lack of better words. You gotta choose His will. You gotta be patient. You gotta keep the faith, right? You can't try. You can't try to live in these iniquity ways. You can't try to live in these non-righteous ways and think that you know everything's gonna be good. This ain't Christianity, man. This ain't Muslim. This ain't Buddha. You can't do none of that, man. This right here comes with discipline, comes with desiring that sensitive milk to becoming a spiritual man. And becoming a spiritual man, you let the spirit of Yahweh outside direct you and lead you, man. Right? You know, I had a quick closing pre, right? One of my favorites, right? Um, Proverbs 3, right? In verse 5 and 6, right? It says, "Trust in the Lord with all thine heart. Trust in the Lord Yahweh with all thine heart. And lean not to thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy path. Be not wise in thine own eyes. Fear the Lord and depart from evil." Right? So you gotta fear the Lord, right, and depart from evil. Get out your own way, right? And choose the will of Yahweh Shah. Let him lead you, man. Right? So once again, title lesson, man. Jake wanted the most how to fit around their lifestyle, man. You know, Jake wanted the most how to fit around what's best for them. But you gotta understand that, hey, when the man is drawn away, he's drawn away with his own lust. So guess what? That lifestyle you want so bad, who just the Lord will, the most high give you on up to it. Cause the same ones who believe back then, they still believe today. The same ones who don't believe, they still don't believe. The same ones who was loving the praise of men, wanting that fancy lifestyle. Hey, the most high let you have that. Just know you're gonna pay for it in the end, man. You reap what you sow, man. Right? Galatians chapter 6 and 7, man. So, Lord willing, let's edify and exalting, right? And I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Kakadash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. And shout out to the whole free elect, starting with the 144,000. Shalom.